Good morning, everyone. Well, it's good to hear, Pat. You got a little sleep there? Yeah, I guess Alex, you saw the news, the bearish guy from JP changed his view to neutral on GE, but still looking for it to go lower. I read, if you read the comments, he said that at some point they'll be looking for money. And well, that will probably produce some downside. I guess that'll be the start of it. I guess stabilizing at that point. And next year's, well, maybe we'll see. You know those stocks that were once blue chip. Put grandma's retirement fund in there, going to zero is just unbelievable on the way, but we've seen it happen. So anyway, markets today is a focus on Europe, and I guess they are, I don't know, I think I read that they're starting to move into, I don't know whether they're going to ease, what things are changing there. I guess the Brexit thing. And so took a look at the British pound here, which has been in a downtrend for a while. The dollar's been strong. You can see this had one heck of a decline this year. And so maybe we got the start of a bottom coming in here. But as you can see, all the moving averages are pointing down. The 20s relatively tight, topping tails, but now a pretty deep reversal. Remember that we had the MT Live last week. I think it was last week where I talked about candlesticks. And I said, you don't really need to be thinking or memorizing different patterns, their names. It's all about retracements. Now, retracements by itself, thank you, Pat. Retracements by itself are one concept. Is it in an area of support? The location, why is it happening? Does it retrace far enough to get through major resistance? And so on. So over here, we see deep retracements. I'd say that I'm eyeballing that. That's about at 80%, but it turned out to be a double top or M top. So there's always going to be resistance at the highs. And there's a nasty drop. Where does it stop? At prior support. Right? So all the fib people, they're like, oh, what happened here? It didn't hold my 0.618, yada, yada. It went all the way down. Oh, let's try it again. Oh, didn't hold 0.618. Now it's up close to 78.2%. I don't know what I'm just talking here, but again, the trend is down, lower highs, lower lows. And notice how it's gotten a bit tighter here. And then the drop in acceleration. So if it can get above this level, that might be of some point of interest that things are beginning to change. And the euro has just been dead in the water, kind of just waiting, is chopping back and forth there. So just thought we'd take a look at those. Nothing really going on for the most part. Back to our markets, yesterday was kind of like a yo-yo day, up and down. Things that were looking pretty good. They were higher, they fell back, and now we've got this lower high in place. And you can see here, this bottoming tail broke down through the base, and now it's stabilized. Look at the moving averages, same thing. Declining 20, under the 50. Both of them are pointing to the downside. The 200 is flat, which are we building a launching pad here to move to the downside? Or is this beginning to base out to where it'll try to move back up to the top of the range? And none of us know, of course, until there is some type of an event that gives us a better indication. And we could say, well, this was the event right there. Right? That was the event. And this could just be some choppy base that's going on here. And, you know, we really do like that when it happens, because it begins to build intraday support. Now, it's just not out of the woods yet. So it starts to become a question as to whether, is this really support, or is it creating new resistance? So trading from this time frame here, where you certainly could put on a short-term put spread, which is what we did last week in the Qs, right? Or at the beginning of this week, I guess it was Monday. And that's working out quite well. This is just, while this isn't moving up, it's not going down. Now we're looking at the spiders here, but it's the same concept. It's just not going down, and it's chopping around. So to have made money directionally, right? If you sold the gap, fantastic. That's one strategy. Option spreads are another strategy. So here it came up to the resistance area that we marked off at the beginning of the week and hasn't been able to get through it. 2 times bouncing clearly, this time a bit of a struggle. It is struggling because I guess Trump said something that was said in the room, or with his lawyer going to jail, and now maybe he's in trouble. What a bunch of BS going on over there, quite honestly. If they would just focus on doing the right thing, it's, instead of fighting like children over there, millions of dollars in investigations for who knows what, but hey, that plays their political games, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, it has an effect on what's happening in the markets. And so I think that was what I heard was the reason for the market giving up its gains. A lot of stocks looked great. They were, rallying. Semiconductors looked good early in the day, and then things kind of just fell apart. So let's recognize and accept what we're dealing with here. Right? This is a mess. Right? We've got a trading range going on here. Up, down, up, down. It's getting tighter for the moment. We've got a swing high up here. Today, assuming it's a higher low to this green bar, we'll have created a swing low. So, if you like drawing diagonal lines, you'll say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is now support, which I'm telling you, don't even bother with that. There's no support here other than this swing low right there once it's created as such. So you've got some support there, but the line is like an imaginary, let's say, figment of your imagination that you're projecting into the future that in reality is meaningless as far as real support and resistance. But same story here, 20 declining, 50 declining, 200 flat. It's trying to build out a base. Will it happen? Not sure. Look at the weekly chart. Well, that's a giant bar. It's been falling for a while. It's into some support over here. It's tested it. Is it trying to hold? Let's wait and see. It's honestly, it's just a whippy, messy consolidation of uncertainty about what's happening, whether you want to relate it to Europe, Washington political BS, yield curve narrowing. We covered that yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Earnings, so on and so forth. Market participants are uncertain about the direction and their commitment to the markets at this time. And it'll sooner or later, it will be resolved. Yeah, it's a big struggle. It's exactly a big struggle. And we see it day to day, whereas, hey, participants are falling all over themselves, trying to get in and buy. And an hour or 2 hours later, it's like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. So emotions and opinions vary and change so quick. And it's just the environment that we're dealing with here. So bearish bias is such, well, let's just say it's bearish to neutral, right? It's at support. Right? We know to the left there, there's a major area of support there. The daily is in a downtrend. We have to just approach this objectively. The weekly is in a downtrend, but at major support. The monthly here is still in an uptrend. Right? Just forget the lines and whatever, still in an uptrend. So it made a high here. And it's pulled back deeply into this low. And is this the point of where it's going to make a higher low? Can it rally from here? Is this going to be a head and shoulders top to where next year is a big drop? Or is this just getting ready for new all-time highs again? You know, we're not going to find out, in my opinion, in 2018, but stay tuned. We're going to know relatively soon. All right, let's continue. The Russell, stronger downtrend, we'll say relative weakness, hourly as well, trying to build a base here. Sloppy type of price action. It was a green bar that took out the high and it came back in again. We close, trend is down, waiting to see what's going to happen. Transports that was showing relative strength collapsed. They're at support. They're trying to hold. Same story. Dow, same thing. Well, look at this. Overlapping bars, gaps, tails, uncertainty, moving averages pointing to the downside. It's trying to hold support. If you're trying to swing trade this, you're not going to be a happy person. Bottom line. Looking at the futures as we do, here, a big, wide range. It's relatively wide range. I mean, it was preceded by wide range bars. So is it a wide range? It is compared to, you know, these ranges here, but it's a big bottoming tail that took out the low, and it is supportive of a low in place. And this bar is still developing because this is a 24-hour chart. So this is today. So it's an inside bar, which just neutral, gives us no direction. We need to either see it take out yesterday's high or yesterday's low to have some type of directional bias based on that. And what we see happen here is that yesterday, when it went up there and then that pullback started, it created a resistance point. So when it made the low, we're then looking for prices to potentially come up here to this 2,700 area. Right? There's the future. So the top of that bar there is thereabouts 2709, give or take. That's the red line right there. So as it tried to reach toward there, and then the news came out and it fell back. So now we have a lower high in place that it created an area of resistance where there wasn't one, and things are gotten tighter. So whether it's this low, I mean, you've got this low in place pre-market, but I've got another chart here that says, you know what? Stand aside. The ranges are too tight. It's whippy. Why bother? Right? Until something clears up as to the direction. And, you know, this is where spread trading or options spread trades makes sense if you can find the premium with a short time to expiration. And when I look at these and say, I start thinking, you know, there are option traders that are of the opinion, you know, you got to go out this 35 or 40 days or whatever. It's like, for me, I look at that and say, good luck with that. You think you're going to know what the direction is with this 40 days from now. You're not going to directionally, well, maybe if you go bearish, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but maybe more so because of the moving averages, but it's trying to hold here. And I just come back to the same conclusion. I really just don't know right now. So I'll stick with some day trades when I find them. But the day changes from morning to afternoon. And so it's just one of those times in the market. Now, we've got the cues here. As we look at, and what we do is we compare one index or sector to another and saying, hey, is there some relative strength or is there relative weakness? And what we see is that the Qs were able to rally up to and just give a little peekaboo above its resistance area. Excuse me. So we look at the same spot on the S&Ps and they couldn't get up there, relative to the S&Ps. They made a lower high. And so the Qs here are showing some relative strength by being able to get up there. And they have created a little bit of support here. The depth of retracement is bullish, even though it did get that tail and came in. So far it's holding, but the daily trend is down. Still the same message, a little bit different. It's trying to eke out a bottom here, but it's just not all that convincing. And the clock is ticking. So we got maybe two things working here is that, look, managers don't want to start dumping into the end of the year. So maybe that's a factor that puts some kind of floor under the market. But they're a herd, just like the market is always a herd, where it's like, hey, who's going to blink first here? They're all nervous about different things. Well, if I sell, maybe he'll sell, and then she'll sell, and all of a sudden we'll all be selling and the market's going down. So if we all kind of hold our breaths here and nobody blinks, maybe things will be okay into the end of the year. More green bars, Q's more green bars. I don't know. Maybe. This is just the day chart, not 24 hours. So it is going to look different, Tony. Or you're going to have more complete bars since it's trading almost 24 hours a day, low volume, in the after hour sessions. So it does look somewhat different, but it will pretty much move in the same direction. Dow, it's getting late here, guys. Same story, created resistance, just like the S&Ps. Bonds are up a titch here, trying to hold this level, created this resistance. And oil can't get off the mat here, even after this drop and that gap up. So I think longs might start getting nervous here as it's just kind of hanging right there. And gold, just chopping around up there, just waiting. So we'll see. More green than reds down here on what's moving. GE obviously was something in the news, how that had this rally up here, and we'll see where this goes in the future. All yours, Dan.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right, opens. Spiders here. We did not get filled on our Friday put spread, but we did the Q put spread for next week. We didn't get filled on the Friday one either. SMH, we didn't get filled yesterday, but I still got my eye on that for next week. OSTK put spread we added yesterday. ACB directional, which I then legged into a covered call. That looks like the sector's gapping up a little bit. Marijuana. Chud, long stock. We've sold a third at a $2 gain. IWM, relative weakness. We have a covered put, which is acting perfectly, on the bullish gap up. We sold an out of the money put to improve our cost basis. We did the same thing with Urban Cowboy and the same thing with Love. So those all three identical strategy. USO, we have a put spread, expires next week, but believe it or not, we're still profitable. So that's just a fantastic example of the melting ice cube. The thing just, as long as it doesn't tank, it can bobble around and we make our time decay. WPC, these were bullish in the REITs and they came in yesterday, I guess, with a yields TLT coming in. Twitter put spread looks fine. NTs we added yesterday into the close put spread for Friday. And I'm also eyeing this one for a put spread for next week. Max, we found through scanning, looks great as a day trade. Look at that beautiful 15-minute chart. This is a beautiful day trade long setup. NVIDIA, you know, we need our something here on the right W here. Nasty downtrend. But if it can get over Tuesday's high, then possibly a short-term put spread. Is that everything? Oh, Mighty Mo. We're a short stock. And UMG, we're short the call spread, gapping up here a little bit, but this is a lot of overhead resistance, no changes needed. All right, I think I got them all now. Now, just some miscellaneous stuff. UAL, I didn't hear the story, but I heard Maria say, oh, coming up next, we're going to tell you why people at United are pissed off today. And I didn't hear the story, and I don't care. All I care about is there a trading opportunity? And we don't have time for me to quiz you, but on trading news, if the stock was acting bullish on bearish news, that's a plus. That's a plus. OXM down on earnings, 63 bucks, getting whacked pretty good here. So I'm watching that one. And Tellurd here, look at Tellurd down 25% right here. So it's a nasty gap. I don't know what it's going to do here in the first 30 minutes, but these big gappers to areas of support, if we get a bullish intraday setup, I love selling out of the money, expensive puts on earnings. It's a go-to strategy of ours. Delta Airlines gave some guidance pre-market. Their CEO was on, so it was down. Now it's kind of closing the gap, so it's flat. Quebec Delta 637. That's a big old bullish gap. It's too big here. It's off my daily chart, but we'll watch it. Soda had earnings. Oh, that's why Soda had earnings, but that's right. It was bought out. I was wondering why. Where's my data? Sienna had earnings here, 35.83. Very bullish gap, but it's not a tier one. A tier one would be if it gapped to like 33 bucks here and then took out a 10, 15-minute high. But now it's gapping too big. WDC I have as a short watch today. It's weak. Here it's hanging on by a thread. So I posted already whiskey, Weyerhaeuser. This is a fantastic day trade short setup, relative weakness. And then this other one, where are you? VNE, I've been watching for a couple days. Look at this weak animal. So those are both. So now I have 3 day trade watches. I liked Max long, NT's long, VeriSign over Tuesday's high. I like that for a put spread. Because I have then a lot of support here, kind of a sloppy reverse head and shoulders. Tesla, hey, for you subscribers to our letters, we changed the code and I emailed the code. And I did send out a pre-market alert on Tesla for the weekly options traders. I showed the hourly chart saying, look, nice hourly gapping up here. We met our target yesterday on a Friday put spread, but I'm now looking to do it again. Whether it's for this Friday at a tighter strike and or next week. But for next week, we need the broader markets